That's our best wishes on to Natalie as well. Right, well, I mentioned over the last couple of weeks we've had the world of snooker. We decided with the weather being as it is, of course, you know, sunshine, we would normally be right in the middle of a cricket season, as cricket fans. But unfortunately, we all know why we're not. We've got a gentleman, very special guest. He's a West Orton lad. I've got to say that. That's the first thing I'm going to say. He's a fellow Carehead, lived in West Orton. He did do. He's gone to posh places now. But, and as I said, Lancashire and England test cricketer and one-day international. And he joined Lancashire in 1982. He was club captain from 1992 to 1997. Would you give a warm welcome, please, to Mike Watkinson? Nice to see you, Mike. Thank you very much indeed. All the microphones are all, you see them applauding, but they're all turned off anyway. But you'll know about this. With being a school teacher, you'll know about this Zoom system because I presume you'll be in the middle of it now, are you?
Yeah, well, for those who are not aware, I'm Director of Sport at Manchester Grammar School now. So we've got all our school boys at home and we're teaching them remotely using Microsoft Teams. So not quite like Zoom, but every swimming lesson, every PE lesson, we've got a fitness assignment to the particular class, and the teachers, we hook up with them. Encourage them to do the program. We get video clips of them doing their exercise, just making sure that boys are getting a good run around. We've got lots of drills, cricket drills, little quirky games that we're inventing, getting boys to do them at home. So we've been keeping really busy. Whilst lads are at home and they've not been able to get outside and do very much, it's important to keep them fit and well, you know, not just for the physical well-being, but the mental well-being as well. There are lots of boys who just need to be out and need to be active and will get bored quite quickly. So the PE and sport department, we're doing our very best to give them plenty of things to do.
Yeah, can I put my hand up? Say there are a lot of 70-year-olds who are getting bored sat in all the time who want to get outside and get to fresh air.
Oh, well, I'll send you some fitness programs, Norman. I think you've got a burpee or two left in you, haven't you?
No, I think I'm losing you, Mike. Sorry, I think I'm losing you there. No, but again, it's difficult. I've got to ask though, with all the exercise, how many parents have actually complained that the kids have been picking the bats and hitting the balls in the house and breaking things?
We haven't had any, to be honest. We've had lots of parents who've been involved. You know, the way sessions have been created, and they've sent little video clips, and it's been really great to see. You've got people who, like maybe in a kitchen with patio doors or a little conservatory, they're whacking balls out of the conservatory into the garden. They're probably smashing greenhouses and all sorts of stuff. But you know, parents are hitting cricket balls, tennis balls off little batting tees and going through the drills and running up and down and throwing at stumps. And we try and create little challenges to keep it interesting. And you know, to be honest, we've had great feedback from parents to say it's good that we've stayed engaged with them. It is really important because not every schoolboy has got the resources that some may have, and to keep them interested and to give them things to do with limited space and resources, I think is very important.
Yeah, I can imagine it is, you know, and of course, if they do have to, you know, put a ball through a greenhouse, they can always say, well, but Sir has told us to do this, Sir's sent this, so it's Sir's fault, you know. Let's talk about your cricket. Let's talk about what we'd like to. I mean, as I said, best of luck, and I'm sure everything's going well at the grammar school as well. But West Orton lad, so the first club you played for was West Orton. How old were you when you started playing cricket?
I was probably about 9 or 10 when my dad first took me down to West Orton Cricket Club to join in with practice sessions. We are going back to around about 1970-ish, something like that, when there was only an under-18s team. There wasn't any under-15s, under-13s. So if you were a youngster interested in cricket, you just went on Friday night, you chased the balls around the field for the bigger lads. When it was dark, you might have got a little bat yourself, and then you had to go to the shop for people. You had to go and get the fish and chip order and go and get bags of sweets for people and things like that, and a little bit of change left over, you might buy yourself something. So that was your introduction to cricket practice on a Friday night. Yeah. And I suppose lots of lads, they lost interest because they weren't getting a game to play in. I was probably about 14 when we introduced the under-15s, and then I'd got an age group that was relevant to me. I was already playing in the under-18s by then. The Bolton holiday week was when you got a game with the under-18s. You know, if you could run around and you'd not gone away on holiday, you could play. I can remember I was filling in when they were short when I was about 10 or 11, went to Little Lever, and I had a blue jumper on that my mum had knit for me and some black jeans because I didn't have any whites because there's no matches to play in. So off I went there, and that was my first ever game of cricket.
Right, I can almost see you in that gear. And looking at the, some information I've pushed through there. I believe you're quite good at football, golf, and basketball as well as cricket. You're obviously sports minded. So
yeah, well, you've paid the price of using Wikipedia for research there, Norman.
Yes, I know I have.
Yeah, well,
you so they
tell you should have 3 sources of information and they should all correlate, shouldn't they?
Yeah,
apparently, somebody's hacked into my Wikipedia and put some strange things on there.
All right.
So my sports, yeah, I played a bit of basketball, I played a bit, but I played everything.
Yeah.
But football and cricket were my main sports when I was growing up.
Yeah.
I was captain of the football team, played cricket as well. I suppose if you ask me now, cricket's been my job, and obviously I'm passionate about it, but football's my love, in not just trying to play as well as I could when I was a youngster, but going watching cricket and watching football and following it now. So those are my 2 main sports when I was growing up.
Yeah. Cricket and following Bolton Wanderers.
Yeah, no, we said sports, Norman.
Hey, now come on, let's not have a go at them. I'm depending on you sticking up for me. We've got Blackburn and Preston fans in here, so we've got to be careful. I think we've got an odd one United fan, but we usually block him out.
Yeah.
But so obviously from the cricket point of view, and school must have had a big impression on that. Were the school very encouraging at Blackrod for you as far as your cricket concerned?
Yeah, I went to Rivington and Blackrod. I had a year in grammar school, and then we turned into a high school with Horwich Secondary School, and we merged together. And the cricket tradition of the school wasn't quite the same after that. We had a nice field in front of the school, which was used now and then. But most of my cricket development was with West Autumn Cricket Club. I played at school. School was supportive. I won't knock them really for that. But any coaching I received, any guidance on the game was from West Autumn, really. Right.
So obviously, and for people who followed your career, and I've watched you play, that many times at Lancashire, and obviously on the telly as well. Bowling or batting? I mean, you tended to turn. You got position picked for the England team on both bases. You were a good all-rounder. What was your favourite? What was the first one? Was it batting and then a bit of bowling, or was it the other way around?
It just depends who's bowling, aren't you?
Sorry?
If Malcolm Marshall and Curtly Ambrose are bowling at you, you don't like batting very much. But I'm a product of the leagues, and most of the people who've come through our league system bat and bowl, because that's what we do. You turn up at practice night, you have a bat, and you have to bowl at everybody else. You don't have a bat and then just go and sit on a bench and have a few catches and then go in. You have to do your share of bowling. And when I was at West Autumn, I used to open the bowling for them, and I used to bat 4, and then I went as professional for British Aerospace in the Bolton Association. When I was pretty young then, I was only about 19. I was up against Javid Miandad and Sylvester Clark and all these kind of players who were proing in the league. So some good test players there. So that was a good grounding. So I had to bat and bowl all the time. And that stayed with me really, and I think that helped me have the length of career I did. Where I started out as a medium pace bowler, used to try and swing it round a little bit, and then in later years I turned to spin, and I got picked for England as a spin bowler in the end. But without my batting, I probably wouldn't have been strong enough just having one suit.
Yeah. So how old were you when you joined Lancashire?
I was 21 when I joined Lancashire, which was quite late, really. I was a late developer physically. When I was 16, I was still only about 5'6" or 7. I used to get pushed around on the football field. And cricket-wise, I remember I've got a reasonable amount of ability, but there were players who used to play in the Bolton sides. Let's say Bolton, the Bolton League under 16s. Yeah, Martin Axford, Stephen O'Shaughnessy, Tony Settle. Very good cricketers.
Yeah.
And some went on to better things, like Stephen O'Shaughnessy did. But they were all big when they were young, and they used to dominate the game really. And it was only till I got 16, 17 to 18 that all of a sudden I'd gone from being 5'6" to 6'2". I could run, I could move. I'd got a bit of strength with me, and that's where my cricket career really blossomed. Because as a 14, 15-year-old, I wasn't all that athletic because I was smaller than the rest compared with them. And then, when I got into sixth form at school, I was dominating in sport a little bit more, and cricket's the one that caught the eye.
Yeah. And I suppose your career with Lancashire, if I talk about Lancashire cricket to people now, the one day game came to me. When the one day games first started, and the Gillette Cup and things like that, Lancashire seemed to adapt to that a lot quicker. And obviously the teams before you, with the Clive Lloyd and Farouk Engineer and people like that. And then when you actually got self-established in there was another resurgence. I mean, I've got some stats here. I know I got them off Wikipedia, so I'm sure you'll correct me. But I
think the numbers are right. I think you're safe with that.
Wisdom. I double checked them with wisdom to make sure I got.
Yeah. Okay.
Particularly your facts and figures as well, but. So tell us some of your memories about the one-day game. What about the Benson and Hedges? The Benson and Hedges Cup in the 90s. We won it in the 70s, but you presume the team of the 90s?
Well, you mentioned Lancashire's dominance in one-day cricket, and I think that again is because league cricket is as it is in the county. That we play 50 over cricket or 35 8-ball overs, or what we had in those days. There's lots of all-rounders. You threw yourself around in the field a little bit. It wasn't a case of if it was going past you threw a cap on it and asked a spectator to throw it back. We started diving. We're a bit more athletic in the field. Mm-hmm. So as a package, we were, a good team of all-rounders. I did an interview with Warren Hegg for the Lancs website the other week. And you don't realise how fortunate you've been with your appearances at Lords in the finals. I think something like 11 finals I've played in at Lords, and there's been some brilliant cricketers who haven't played in a single final. So we are very fortunate. But we just had a lot of belief in our team, particularly through the 90s, that a game was never lost, and anybody within the team would rescue a bad situation. We all believed in each other. We respected each other's ability, and we had some great days out. To be man of the match in a Lord's final, to captain your team to 3 or 4 victories, and be on that balcony holding cups up and having a field full of Lancashire chanting supporters are great days out. And the things you only dream about. I mentioned that 10-year-old lad walking. I had a shoebox with some crepes old trainers when I walked onto the field at West Orton, and then you finish up walking out, opening the baton in a Benson Hedges Cup final at Lords. So
I've got a couple of photographs. I think one's from 1995 with you and another young lad from Oldham who did quite well for his career. I think. Yeah, we'll just see if we can get them up.
All right, we're playing around. All right,
first of all, was that Peter Martin's testimonial?
No, that picture is we are warming up before my Test debut. This is 1995.
Right.
We were all in the squad, I think, for the Test match. This might have been at Edgbaston, or it might have been Old Trafford, I'm not quite sure. I was in the squad at Edgbaston, I didn't get picked. We got battered by the West Indies. Gallion, I'm looking for, Gallion played but broke his hand. Walsh or Ambrose or whoever hit him on the hand and broke his hand. Yeah. So he didn't play the next game. Peter Martin didn't play either. So that was probably Edgbaston Test match, I would say. And the following Test match was when I made my debut at Old Trafford, and I was 34, nearly 35 when I made my Test debut. So I thought my days had been and gone. So to get a go in the England team there is it was something special for me, because I remember the morning of the Test match. Athers was captain. He came in the dressing room and he said, "You're playing today." And I thought, right, I've got a cap, that'll do for me. I'm not whatever happens. You're never having this back. I've not got a 10-year career, but I've now got an England cap. I remember those thoughts going through my mind at the time.
Well, tell it. Obviously, we'll talk about that. You at that age as well. With all respect, you're quite right. That was later. What were your thoughts, besides the fact that you finally made it, you've got that? What were you like when you went out to bat?
Well, we were in the field first, which helped a little bit. It was boiling hot weather. It was at Old Trafford and it was a packed house, so everything was in my favour as far as home support. I never used to wear a cap all the time when I was playing, but I wore that cap on that game. You get that England cap on and you wear it, and you walk down through the Lancashire members, and you can feel the warmth, the support for them, which encourages you. I didn't feel too bad age-wise, because my spin partner was John Embury, who was about 42, I think. So I got a few years on him. And I got brought onto ball. They might have been 1 or 2 wickets down. And a cricket strip is 9 feet wide. And when you get the ball and you ball in your first Test match, it feels about 9 inches wide. You're just terrified of where it's going to, especially if you're bowling spin, which I was at the time. And Keith Arthurton's batting, and my first 5 balls were reasonably okay in the over. Last ball of the over was a low full toss, and he hit it into a dustbin on Warwick Road Station, out the ground, and it went on the station platform. So I thought, crikey, we better not send any more of them. But I got a couple of wickets in the first innings. I think I got 38 when I batted, and then we bowled them out at Brian Lara. We've probably heard of him, haven't we? I was never fortunate enough to get him out. He got 140 odd, and he was hard work to bowl at. Whether you bowl full or short, you had to be absolutely on the money, or else he was forward or back and scoring runs off you. But I got 2 wickets in the first innings, 3 wickets in the second innings, and then we had a reasonably modest total to knock off, and we were cruising on the way to getting this total, and then we lost some quick wickets, and then Robin Smith got hit in the face by Bishop.
Well, when you're talking about the West Indies and your first Test match, who were the fast bowlers? Because they always had 4 fast bowlers.
Walsh, Ambrose, Bishop, Benjamin.
Well, no trouble there then, were there?
Yeah, no. Well, Robin Smith was batting. He was doing okay, and Bishop, who was probably quickest of all those at that time, he hit him in the face, in the cheekbone, fractured his cheek. There was blood everywhere. He was carried off.
Because he didn't have the grills in them days,
no.
did you?
Well, we did, but he didn't choose to wear it. He just had the side pieces.
Right.
So he went back to one, and it came through and hit him straight under the eye somewhere. And he was on the physio's bed with his head like a watermelon, because it just exploded up and swelled up. They were putting sawdust on the pitch to sweep the blood up, so it didn't look too horrendous for the next person going in. And that left John Crawley and Jack Russell batting, and I was next in. And I can't remember how many we needed, but it was enough for me to be really nervous. And the progress was very, very slow, but they crept to this winning target. It took them 2 or 3 hours to get there, and I was next in all that period. And I think that's the most nerve-wracking time I'd ever had in my career, and we'd saved it up to near the back end, where you got a 4-pronged pace attack like that on quite a quick pitch. You got Robin Smith with his head smashed in on the physio's table, and you're next in, and we need to win a Test match. and you're padded up to the eyeballs as well. You've got bath towels, you've got beer mats, you've got everything stuffed inside your clothing for protection. So you're pretty hot and sweaty whilst you're waiting.
So did you actually get out to bat?
I didn't get in. No, I didn't get in.
Right.
No, I remember John Major came in the dressing room to congratulate us after the game. I remember that happening.
So were there any memorable games that you played in? You know, you talk about the fast bowlers there. Any memorable games that you thought, well, I mean, you've got, what, 38 in the first innings. I mean, that must have been satisfying in your first innings. But going out there for the first time in a test match, facing that lot in the first innings, that must have been traumatic.
Yeah, it was, but we were brought up with a lot of quick bowling in county cricket. You know, there's some pacemen around the country when I was first getting into the game. Really, you got like Wayne Daniel was at Middlesex, Malcolm Marshall was at Hampshire, Sussex had Garth LaRue and Imran Khan. Notts had got Richard Adley, Clive Rice, and the list goes on. We had Akram and Patterson for a while together. We must have been terrified, terrifying opposition for people to come up against. So we played against quick bowling around the counties.
Yeah.
But you would try and see the one quick bowler off, and then the rest weren't too bad. But when you played against the West Indies, one would have a breather, and another one would come on and do exactly the same. So there was no rest. It was just all hostile stuff all the time. And when you stood up to look, there weren't many fielders in front of you. They were all behind you because they weren't going to be pitching many up. So you knew that was going to be the game. I remember my introduction to the Lancashire team was when Clive Lloyd was captain. And Clive was a great man and a fantastic captain. But when I first came on the scene as a lively medium bowler from the local leagues, I think he had it in his head that I was some Joel Garner type bowler, because I looked at the field he'd set for me. I got like 5 slips, a gully, a short leg and a leg slip. And I'm thinking, I'm going to get smacked straight back down the ground here, Clive, with a field like this. I need a little bit more protection.
But that's the way it goes. You've got to take it. If your captain says, that's what I'm setting, as a first one, you know, a youngster playing or, a debut guy going in there, you've got to take what your captain says, you know. What I'd like to do, I mentioned the Benston edges. Let's have a look at a couple of these photographs. So we've got a couple of photographs of I think it's the 1995. There you've got that's a young Mike Atherton too, isn't it?
Yeah, 95. Yeah, okay.
Who did you beat in the final?
Oh, come on, Norman, this is tough. We beat Northants, I'm guessing.
Northants, right.
I think we beat we did 95. No, we didn't. We beat Kent.
You beat Kent.
We did the double in 90. We did the double in 96, and we beat Kent in 1995. I think that's the game where we set a reasonable total.
Yeah.
And they had Aravinda De Silva, this Sri Lankan who could stand up under the wash basin without banging his head. He wasn't very tall, but he could bat, and we couldn't get him out. And I think he got 100. And I remember Ian Austin's bowling, and De Silva kept walking across to off stump and whipping him over the leg side. And Graham Lloyd was on the boundary on the leg side, and it kept going this way and that way. And then I said to Ian Austin, I said, Bully, as we always called him.
Bully, yeah.
I said, Bully, where are we going to put young Bumble on the boundary there? And he said, I've no idea. Put him wherever you like. Like, he'd given up to it. And I went, Bumble, just round a bit. There you go. That'll do. Next ball, he whipped it straight down his throat, out. And that was a game changer. I had no idea what I was doing. We were just changing the field to try and make it a bit interesting. But that game was going away from us with a guy who was a top batsman. And it's just little things that change matches like that. And again, Ian Austin, product of the leagues. Graham Lloyd, product of the leagues. It's good that they were influencing matches like that, and we were up against international superstars, and remember 1996.
Yeah, I've got a picture before you do that. I think we've got a picture of 1996 as well on the balcony.
Okay.
With
I'm probably looking about 1 year older than that previous picture.
Yeah, you probably would do. That's great.
Yeah.
You can see why you're a teacher. You've got a quick mind there, Mike.
Yeah.
I'll do the gags. You just answer the questions. I'll do the gags. All right. Well,
okay. Tell me something significant about that team then.
Something significant.
4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Yeah. Something significant about that team.
That wasn't just exactly the same team as the year before, was it?
No, it wasn't. Not quite. No, that team, there's no overseas player there, is there?
No, there isn't. You're right.
No, so we played without an overseas player. There is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. There's 11 Lancastrians and Jason Gallion, who was brought up in Australia, but his parents were English and came over when he was a teenager. So that's something that I was very keen on. Steve Elworthy was our overseas player that year.
Yeah.
He'd done well in the matches leading up to the final. Peter Martin had got a twisted ankle and he'd not played the quarterfinals and the semi-final. And because Bumble Senior had gone off to England, I was captain and effectively running the team, picking the team, sorting training out, the whole lot. And I had to pick the team for the final. And it's the hardest decision I've ever had to make in cricket, without a doubt. And I left out the overseas player, mainly because I had no idea what to do to make my final decision. All the people I took advice from, they were scratching their head. And in the end, I thought, this is about Lancashire. These are Lancastrians. I'm going to pick 11 Lancastrians. And Steve Elworthy, the South African, who is an absolute tremendous bloke and worked hard to help us get in the final. He missed out, but I thought that was the right thing to do.
Yeah. More power to your elbow for doing that. What I normally do is open up for questions and answers for obviously quite a few people who've got it. Before I do that, we've got one gentleman who's got more than a tenuous connection with the cricket world, Andrew Whittaker, who's our Leyland lad, and we've got some photographs to back up his particular connection. Before we do any further, Andrew, I asked you this before, but I haven't got the ink to write it down. What's your title at Leyland?
Yeah, so obviously at the moment I'm furloughed, but I work for Lancashire Football Association as the Disability and Inclusion Officer.
Right, that must be a long tag to have on your badge, innit, when you're walking around, isn't it?
You use a lot of business cards giving it out anyway, so.
Right, let's see your connection. Your connection with Lancashire. We've got a picture here. No, I bet you were in that one, but we've got a picture here. Now, talk us through this one, Andrew.
Yeah, so I've been very fortunate to be able to play cricket. I used it as part of my recovery when I had operations when I was younger. And then I was very fortunate. We played for a club side in Rochdale and they were amalgamated into the Lancashire Cricket Development Board as their disability team. And then obviously kind of fast forward a few years later, this is in 2003, and I was very fortunate to play in a game down at Grappenhall. It was part of Motability, who provide people with cars to get around and stuff like that. And obviously, massively important for me, needed a bigger car, using the chair and stuff. And it was the 25-year celebration. And I was obviously very fortunate to be able to play cricket with a few people on that day.
How many runs did you score? Can you remember?
We just played kind of short matches, so I think they were like kind of 8 to 10 game matches in that specific competition. But obviously, when I played for Lancashire cricket, and obviously I did very, very, very well for them. But I don't have a Wikipedia page to be able to get the information.
Mike's probably saying, "Thank God you've not." You know. Looking at that, I think I commented when I first saw it. That's a great one-day stance. That left leg out of the way. That's going way over. That's going right in the corner, isn't it?
Yeah, that's how I batted all the time because my condition affects my left leg. So obviously I kind of got it padded up so that hopefully nobody hurts it. And then if you notice, I wore a smaller wicket-keeping pad for the right leg so that my gloves didn't get caught on it because I found when I was using big pads, my gloves kept getting caught. So, yeah, it was just to open it up and hopefully use plenty of bottom hand and hopefully it goes somewhere near the boundary.
Right. We've got another photograph. So we'll have the next photograph now. And this is to show you, obviously, the connection you were saying with regard to Lancashire. And they do very much they do get very much involved with this. If I come to you, Mike, they do get very much involved. The community trust get very much involved with disabled people with regard to the sport, don't they?
Mm. Yeah, it's very important that with any professional sport, the community is important, and any support and any level of engagement is really valued and very welcome. I do know, like at Lancashire now, they've got the various disability teams. They all merge together and have the same presentation evening as the main county side and as the ladies side. So they're very much part of the Lancashire cricket family.
Yeah, if I can come back to you, Andrew. When we were looking at that photo, I thought that was what you'd won. I didn't realise it until I saw the number plate.
So that was actually my first ever card that I got through Motability. I got it in 2002, and this was 2003, so it was a year later. So very fortunately, they cleaned it for me for the photo, which was quite nice for it. But just after this photo was taken, which really sticks in my mind, is somebody turned the car engine on. And use the jet washer and wet Warren Hegg. So if you notice, he's at the driver's side there. That was just stuck in my mind. Really, really funny. That obviously the lads were brilliant on the day I was playing cricket. I was in Mark Chilton's team, and then you got some of the others that were just the tremendous cricketers, absolutely amazing. What they could do, and obviously they were there having a laugh, enjoying themselves, but just putting on entertainment as well, which was really nice. But yeah, it really made me chuckle when Mike turned the engine on and squirted Warren Hegg, because obviously he was up through the sunroof.
Knowing Mike knows that. We know Warren Hegg very well. I know Warren Hegg from the golf very well indeed. If you're going to drench anybody, you couldn't pick anybody better. Trust me. With this next photograph, I presume, would lead on to the team, because you mentioned Mark Chilton there, who obviously a captain of England. So we can have a look at the next photograph, Andrew. That's my Andrew, not Andrew Whittaker. That's right. So presumably this is this the winning ticket? Oh, look at this.
There you go.
Your trophy, that's really heavy, that. Look at the trophy there. I made the comment, say it's not a big trophy. And my son Andrew said, but it's bigger than the Ashes urn. So that's one thing. So that was your team, the winning team, was it?
Yeah, we were very fortunate on the day. As I said, it was the individuals that are behind me had actually paid money to be able to play in the game. So obviously they'd go with a Lancashire player, and there were again some really, really good league players in there. I don't know why I got picked on a team, but I did with it. So yeah, again I bowled against Mike, and this was early on in my development, as you can tell with the youthful looks that I don't have now. Exactly. And I bowled off spin, and I was just trying to learn how to bowl leg spin at the time. And I remember I was bowling off spin against Mike. I bowled a leg spin. He went, "Oh, I noticed you bowled something different there." And then Peter Martin played the game after and smashed me for the biggest six you have ever seen. They didn't even bother going looking for the ball. They just threw a new one in. It went over out of the ground into a field, and it was like, wow, it was a real surreal day for me.
Yeah, you see, this is it, I suppose, with professional sport, Mike. You get to a situation like that. Yeah, it's a fun thing. But it's a competition. And knowing any of the professional cricketers, with regard to Andrew being the disabled bowler, he would turn around and think, if he gets me out, I will never live this down in the dressing room. So, and obviously he was mainly a bowler, so he'll just lamp that as far as he could and turn around and say, right, if I'm out now, I'm not bothered because I'm hit to sit.
Yeah, no, with Peter Martin, Digger, you're crediting him with some thought process before he does things. He's an opening bowler. He's quite an intelligent chap, but probably don't think everything through.
Yeah, I remember when I was. You had the testimonial years. I did Bumble Junior's testimonial year, and I did Peter Martin's year. And when we did the golf tournaments, I played in the golf because they let us play in the golf, and then we did the function. I was the comedian in the evening, and I was playing with Bumble and Peter Martin, and I think Chapper was the other one.
Yeah.
And you cricketers can hit a ball that's bouncing up, coming down at 97 miles an hour up there, and you can hit it. Put a ball on a tee that's that high, And every single cricketer I know wants to hit it 3 miles. And these three,
one or two do as well.
but and one or two, it goes anywhere. Yeah. And I remember playing when Peter was having a go, and him and Bumble were having this little battle about who was going to knock it, and they were going all over the place. Yeah. And then, but Bumble said to me, he said, "Oh, I see you again now." I said, "What are you doing? Are you here tonight?" I said, "Yeah, I'm doing the comedy tonight. I'm emceeing it as well." And the three of them looked at each other and went, "Oh." And they never missed a tee after that. They never missed a fairway after that, because they knew that I'd give them had enough humour after that round of golf to last me all season, I must admit. I was talking about questions and answers. Anybody here want to put a question? We've got Prima, who is our representative from Charlie, from Leyland, and a cricketer who played. How many years did you play for the local team then?
About 20 years, Norman. And during that time, I met I played against and with the Lancashire cricketers.
Yeah.
I recall Harry Pilling, Colin Hilton. I opened with John Abrahams and got 150 on the board against Chorley.
Right.
And once I remember against Blackpool, the Blackpool skipper, Arthur Laycock, he opened the bowling and he bowled me a no ball. And I took a step forward and swung at it and took a thick edge, and Jack Simmons, fielding at gully, took a brilliant catch. But I turned round and I was admiring the catch, but Jack realized I was out of the crease.
Yeah.
And he crashed my wicket down. It was a lovely afternoon, nice crowd, and I was pig-sick. I wasn't even run out because I only took a step forward.
Yeah.
It wasn't the case of being run out. But Harry Pilling ran me out once. And later on, Harry was telling me he ran me out on the second run. And Harry pretended he was chasing the ball, but he wasn't. He was running with the ball, hoping I would run for the second. See the amount of knowledge and the craft of the Lancashire cricketers who knew this kind of thing. And for league players, you don't think that well. But Harry Pilling, mind you, he didn't have a lot to bend down, really. And he was teasing me, running with the ball, hoping I would take the second run, and he did turn around and had me run out.
Yeah, he conned you because you thought he was running and he had it in his hand all the time. That's the kind of devious tricks you see these professionals pull, isn't it? Watkinson,
you can't do that anymore.
You can't do that.
No, it's all they've unsporting behaviour, which like fake diving came in. You pretended you'd dive and you'd got the ball and you'd not got the ball, so people would stop running because they thought you dived and got the ball, but you'd done a fake dive. So things like that were outlawed. The one that was always very popular was the wicketkeeper would catch the ball and then first slip would turn around and start sprinting to the boundaries, or the keeper had missed it. You'd set off for a run thinking, oh, he's going getting the ball, and the keeper stood over the stumps with the ball in his hand. See you later, young man. So all those kind of little tricks you can't do anymore.
Did you come across a lot of sledging when you played? I mean, when you played the West Indies, I don't suppose. You didn't play against Australia, did you?
No, but I played against Australia for Lancashire when we played the tourists, and I played in Australia for 4 years. So I played, for an Australian team against the West Indies, against New Zealand. So I played with Australians against other countries as well. So I was fortunate with that. And you might be surprised, but you play against the West Indies, there is no sledging.
Right.
There is no sledging.
Yeah.
There's a little bit of conversation between themselves, but they don't need to do any sledging. The ball's whistling past your nose end at 90 miles an hour every single delivery. They don't need to intimidate you because it's just their presence and their ability is. The more chat was in my upbringing. When I was learning my trade in the local leagues with the Marlins, the Eccleshires, Arthur Sutton was my professional at West Orton when I was a kid growing up. He's only a short guy, bowled off spin and batted left-handed, captain of Cheshire. But what a tough guy on the field. Made it really uncomfortable for opposition. But then the sledging had some humour with it. It wasn't personal. And everybody could have a smile. And if you didn't take it in the right spirit, then, you know, people would laugh even more at you.
Yeah.
I think that in modern times, some of the sledging has become a little bit more personal. And I don't think that's on, really. I don't think it's needed. I liked a bit of humour on the field. If you want to make people uncomfortable, you know, Warren, I used to bowl and Warren used to keep wicket at Lancs, and we used to talk about you create a bit of theatre. We would have a chat with each other that created theatre so the batsman would feel really uncomfortable. But we didn't abuse him or his family or anything like that. We just had a bit of fun and a bit of banter, and you could always have a beer about it later. And I think that I was fortunate. I played cricket in a great era when cricket was very hard, but there was a lot of fun as well. There was a lot of characters around, both in league cricket and county cricket. So those times have changed a little bit. We don't go in the pub after the game together. We don't have a drink. We don't chat about things. Playing in Rose's games, they were really special. We go to Headingley, and you get almighty abuse from the crowd, and you know, they'd be shouting and getting on your back over things. And the team, we would play really hard against each other, and then we'd be off to the Three Horseshoes for a few pint of Tetleys, and then to Brian's for fish and chips. We'd go with the opposition. You know, Phil Carrick, God rest his soul, who was the left-arm spinner at Yorkshire. We used to chat all night about spin bowling and, you know, David Bairstow and Side Bottom and Moxon, those characters.
Yeah.
And that doesn't seem to happen anymore.
No, I suppose again it's an approach. It's an approach, different approach to it. And time's getting on. We could chat all day. Is there one person who was the biggest influence on your career? Best piece of advice you ever got? What was the best piece of advice you ever got?
It's hard to have one influence on my career. You know, when I first went to West Orton Cricket Club, Teddy Gerrard was the junior coach. He was a retired local cricketer who gave his life to young cricketers in the Bolton area. So without him, I'd probably not have got in the West Orton first team. Arthur Sutton's influence was tremendous as pro at West Orton. Then I go to Lancashire. Clive Lloyd was my first captain. He was more an inspiration than an influence on my batting and bowling ability. But you know, for me to be plucked out of league cricket to make my debut, I should have been playing against Astley and Tilsley for British Aerospace, and they asked me to play for Lancashire against Kent. I only found out the day before. I should have been, you know, going to work on the Monday, but I went and played, and I'm playing against Nott, Underwood, Dilly, Woolmer, you know, star-studded Kent lineup. So to be in that team with Clive was very, you know, inspirational, really. And of course, your parents play a part in it by taking you and supporting you in those early years, because it's not easy to do it on your own. Yeah,
I can imagine. You know, at the school, of course, you're director of coaching, and you did you coach the England one-day team at one stage?
Yeah, I did 3 overseas tours with the England Test team. I was assistant coach to Duncan Fletcher when we went on tours to Bangladesh, Sri Lanka and South Africa. So those 3 overseas trips and coaching with the national team. I didn't do the one-day team, but I was assistant coach of the Test team, and my main responsibility was looking after all the bowlers. And with having bowled pace and spin myself, it made me more able to look after them all.
Right. I put the question on the other end then, before we finish, and I'll go through. I must go through your stats before we go, because I know that they're the only thing on Wikipedia that's true.
Right. Okay.
With your coaching now, not necessarily at the grammar school, although it might well come into that with regard to the team. Yeah. What's the best piece of advice that you would give a young cricketer? If there was one thing that you were to say, what would it be?
I would say decide on which parts of your game are important to you, and then you can coach yourself then. If you know what elements of your game you need to do all the time, then you can look after yourself, because if you're going to reach the top as a sportsman, it needs to come from within. Nobody can give it to you. They can give you pieces of advice and help you on your way, but if you haven't got that inner drive and that determination to keep going when it gets tough, because it will get tough, and when it's not going right, can you put your kit on and go out there again, and can you sort it out? And unless you know what your basics are and you trust and believe in them, then that's going to be difficult. So that would be my advice, I would think.
Right. I'll just go through the stats. I've added, it's got tests, 1 days, full career, list A games. That's presumably the 1 day games, is it? Is it the 1 day games, list A games? And it's quicker this time. The matches, you know, how many games did you play? Can you remember, roughly, in your career?
Probably about 700.
Yeah.
I had 700 professional games, something like that. I'm not sure exactly. If you had all the 1 dayers together and the 4 dayers and 3 dayers.
Yeah, over 16,000 runs, 1,300, 70 50s, 64,000 balls you bowled, almost. Wickets, 1,120, and you took 5 wickets in an innings 30 times. So there was, and that, you know, we could go along stats all day, but it just proves great all-rounder, a great servant, not only to the Test team and the 1 day team, but also to Lancashire particularly. Again, I'd like to say thank you very much on behalf of everybody for coming along today. I know your mornings are taken up with all the Zoom session with the kids, and the afternoon is when you should be putting your feet up, isn't it?
Yeah, deck chair time. No.
Yeah, because at your age now, it's getting to that stage that you've got to look after yourself a bit more. Yeah. Seriously. Thank you very much indeed. Thank you very much for Andrew Whittaker for his memories as well, and with the photographs. And I'll say thank you very much indeed, and I'll hand back to our organiser, Keith McIntosh. Thanks, Keith. Can we give a big round of applause, first of all? We'll give a big round of applause to Mike. Thank you very much indeed, Mike.
No, thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure, and wish everybody all the best, and let's hope there's a bit of cricket somewhere in the near future for us all to watch and enjoy.
Yeah, we will. Keith, I'll go over to you. Are you ready?
I am. Brilliant. Thank you very much. Mike, very grateful to you for giving your time and presenting a very interesting and enjoyable session for us. And also thank you to the Princes, Norman Senior and young Andrew, for the technical support. Very grateful to you. And it's great that Kate from Sporting Memories HQ has been able to join us as well today. So just before we go, Martin, a little plug. You've started holding your own Sporting Memories sessions via Zoom yesterday on behalf of Preston North End Community Trust. Do you want to tell us how it went and remind us when we can join in, if that's okay? Martin Adderton, please.
Yeah, thanks, Keith. Yeah, they say imitation is the best form of flattery. So having seen how well these sessions go, we thought we'd have a go at our own. And we finally got it up yesterday, probably a bit later than we expected. We had 22 people, including your good self, which is great. We've already got a couple more joining us next week who are new, and so it was very rough and ready yesterday. So we were straight back into the groove. You know, nothing slick, nothing smooth, but it was good, and everybody seemed to enjoy themselves, and it was great to welcome everybody back and see so many people looking happy and healthy, even if a bit locked in. But there you go. So we're on Tuesday mornings at 11 o'clock, so we're running the same time as our usual group. We're on for about an hour. We had a bit of a quiz yesterday and a bit of a chat, and we found out lots of interesting things about people that we're going to pick up on over the next few weeks. Apparently one of our members, Jo Harwood, played in the Women's FA Cup final. So she doesn't know yet, but she's volunteering to talk to us about that next week. I haven't told her yet she's volunteered. But, so if anybody's interested in coming along, you can get in touch with me, or just get in touch with the Preston North End Community Trust. You can get them on Twitter and Facebook, and they'll add you to the list for to send out the Zoom invitation as we do for these sessions. But anybody be very welcome to come along. It's not just North End, it's not just football, it's like this, we have all sorts of things going on.
Brilliant. Thank you, Martin, for that. Hope it goes well. Good on you. So just to let you know, all being well, Kevin Gallagher will be joining as our special guest next week. So Passy and Janet, no doubt you'll get a few questions lined up, you Rover supporters. If there's anyone else, go for it. But we look forward to seeing you all next week. Stay safe, look after yourself. Once again, thanks very much for a great session. Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you. Take care.
Take care.
Bye for now.
Thanks, Mike.